In October 2010, I moved to New York City. It was raining that day, the 1st of October. Back in those days, $1 is equal to 45 rupees was the song the jukebox in my head played with every penny spent. The fact that I had to shell out $5 to use the luggage cart at Newark had left me very shaken and rather stirred. I was a middle-class Indian professional in the United States of America, and I had a reputation to live up to. In accordance with my sworn duty to adhere to the thrifty Indian stereotype, I had booked a stay through Airbnb at a reasonably priced, read $75 a night, room in New York. This was in a beautifully restored brownstone in what used to be one of the shadiest neighborhoods in New York, Harlem. Now, many parts of Harlem have become really nice now, but then back then. I arrived drenched to the bone at the doorstep of the building about 20 blocks to the north of Central Park. My spanking brand new landlady, Regina, was there to meet me. With all 250 kilograms of her wrapped in her voluminous green and yellow dress, she was tall, round, and colorful. "You're late," were the very first words Regina greeted me with. Yes, this is true, were the very first words I greeted Regina with. "I stayed here an extra 30 minutes, child, all because you was late." "I'm sorry, Regina," I offered, putting on my best lost kitty face. I had heard that Americans treated their pets better than their parents. So pretending to be a cat was my strategy of being accepted in this new world. She sighed very audibly as I dragged 40 kilograms of my dripping wet luggage all over her shiny hardwood floors. But soon enough, my lost kitty face had its effect. Regina's features visibly softened at the sight of the poor Indian kid all alone in a new city, stubbing her toe repeatedly and clumsily on her American Tourister carry-on. She pointed towards the kitchen. "Whatever you need should be available in the pantry. You can use the stove to cook your own meals. If you need any groceries replenished, call me, okay, child?" Access to food signaled victory. Lost Kitty was turning out to be a masterstroke. After 15 more minutes of laying out a list of house rules, she looked at me, looked in the other room, and then added, "Also, could you fix my computer for me?" Of course, as Regina knew, every Indian in the US was born with a computer engineering degree in their wallets. Since it was in my DNA after all, I ran an antivirus program on her PC and thereby improved the quality of her life substantially. I slept comfortably that night without a snore or turn, not that I snore. That super hard double dose of sleep that you do when you arrive to a comfortable bed after a massive trip. Now, consulting firms do this thing they call an induction program in the very first week of anyone new joining. Given the attrition rates and the number of people going in and out of the organization, there is typically an induction week going on for some new hire at any given point in time. My first week, Monday to Friday, every day, ended in some exhausting induction dinner with some head honcho in the firm. And every night, I'd get a cab home and crash into my pillow with the force of a WWE wrestler doing a body slam move. On Friday night, for the very first time, my schedule was free. The partners at the firm had probably picked Friday as the one day in the week they would have dinner with their own families. Now, like the young, hot-blooded immigrant that I was, I seized my first night off with both of my hands and decided that I would stay home. Because I did not have a broadband connection at this point in time to legally download torrents yet, I decided that I should legally watch some television. And like the newly minted immigrant that I was, I thought it best to savor my first self-funded dinner on American soil with a pepperoni pizza from Anthony's Greek Pizza around the corner. And thus, pizza on the bed, the TV blaring Horatio Kane one-liners from CSI Miami, I settled down to my first meal of my choice in New York City. Stare at pizza slice, squint into the sun, put on sunglasses, and say something with both a murder reference and a pun. This was America at its cheesy finest. 25 minutes into the mysterious murder of a particularly wealthy Cuban-American drug lord, the channel suddenly changed to ESPN's telecast of American college football. I looked for the remote under my thigh. We've all had those butt dial, or in this particular case, butt channel changing moments. But I did not see the remote. Maybe the channel changed by itself, I thought. I put down the pizza, wiped the grease off my hands, and then changed the channel back to CSI Miami. 30 seconds. That was the period of time that elapsed before the channel promptly changed again. The University of Oklahoma Sooners versus the Alabama Crimson Tide. Back to ESPN and its telecast of that sport Americans call football. The thing is, it's nothing like the football that the rest of the world knows. I mean, seriously, there are these teams of huge rhino-sized men trying to gouge each other to death over a very weirdly shaped ball. It pains my heart. This is not Pele's game. This is not the beautiful game, and it's nothing short of an affront to call this football. And yes, by now you have guessed completely right, I am Bengali. Getting back to my story, there I was sitting on the ancient queen-sized mattress wondering what had just happened with the changing channel. It didn't take me very long to come to the conclusion that my TV had to have picked up a signal from the room next door. I thought about it for a second and then gently tiptoed down the hall to knock on my neighbor's door. Not Regina, but a different neighbor. After about 15 knocks, I realized that it was soon after 10 p.m., which is late for American domestic standards. She opened the door a crack. Her hair was tousled and she was dressed in pajamas. She looked sleepy and angry, decidedly angry. "Hi," I offered in what I thought was a suitably apologetic Lost Kitty tone, the one that had worked with Regina previously. "I think my TV has been catching signals from your remote." "I don't think so," she said. "I was sleeping right now until you woke me up, and I do not tend to change TV channels while I'm asleep." I apologized and shuffled back into the apartment. Why did the TV change channel by itself? Did it not like my choice of programming? I decided to check what lay beyond the boarded-up back window of my room. Perhaps my TV had been catching signals from a neighbor's remote from the building behind. A quick stroll around the block in the freezing cold revealed that my neighbor on the other side of the boarded window was a sparsely populated parking lot. I did not switch on the TV again. That night, I went to bed very confused, both about who had murdered the Cuban drug lord, as well as what kind of people liked American football so much that they forced everyone around them to watch it. The weekend passed as first weekends in New York City should. There were sights to be seen and touristy things to do before I could earn the privilege of shrugging my shoulders at the tourists themselves. I ate hot dogs from Bangladeshi vendors in Central Park, sang karaoke in Koreatown, ate Ethiopian food in the West Village, all in all very American things to do. And conducting difficult tasks like taking selfies on top of the Empire State Building and getting drunk at an Irish bar meant that I arrived home dog-tired on both Saturday and Sunday. On Monday night, I managed to get home much earlier than any dutiful first-year consultant should. 8 p.m. to be precise. I decided that tonight was the night Regina's kitchen would experience the culinary expertise of Chandrima Das for the very first time. It was another matter that Chandrima Das would also be experiencing her culinary expertise for the very first time. Just a minor detail. But as cats are known to land on their feet, I did manage to surprise myself with an edible dish of pasta in red sauce. And so I settled in front of the TV with my self-made dinner perched on my pajama-clad lap. This time, I was allowed to watch a full 45 minutes of Dexter on HBO before the channel changed by itself. Yep, right before the good part where he gets to killing someone in that week's episode. This time, it was not ESPN. This time, the channel changed to Rihanna belting out, "Like I'm the only girl in the world." TV remote was next to me, I nonchalantly changed the channel back to Dexter. 30 seconds later, the TV responded by nonchalantly changing the channel back to Rihanna, going, "The only one that you'll ever love." I changed the channel again. The TV changed it back again. I held the button down for 10 seconds. The TV screen did this flickery dance between Dexter killing some plastic-wrapped dude and Rihanna shaking her booty. Like some internal fight for the signal, the digital version of good and evil fighting for a person's soul. Then I gave up. The channel rested on Rihanna's booty before I switched off the television. If I wasn't watching Dexter, then no one was watching anything. After a couple of mandatory calls with family members and friends, I lay down to sleep. And doze off I did, only to abruptly wake up at 3 a.m. to find the room freezing cold. Plus, all the lights in the room, from the night light to the line floor lamp, were on. I do not consider myself the most organized of people, but I was sure that I had dutifully switched off the lamps before going to sleep. I got out of bed, switched off everything, and promptly went back to sleep. Tuesday night was yet another one of those crash and burn nights, but Wednesday saw me come home early again. And this time, I had come home with a plan. I was going to watch whatever I wanted to, and I was going to fix this TV situation once and for all. I called Regina within a minute of the channel changing the first time that day. "I think there's a problem with the TV in my room, Regina," I said in my firmest lost kitty tone. "The channel changes even when I haven't pressed a button. Does the TV share a connection or shared cable with any of the other rooms?" "Child, there's no such thing. You have your own set-top box for cable right in your room. Look below the TV." And yes, it was there, right under the TV like she said. That still didn't explain why the TV had decided that I should watch New York Knicks instead of Die Hard 2. I begged and pleaded with the recall button on the remote quite a bit before giving up. I switched off the TV and the floor lamp and went to sleep, having just lost the battle of the channels for the umpteenth time. 3 a.m. I woke up to find all the lights in the room switched on full intensity. For some reason, it felt even brighter than before. Yet, my room felt like the inside of a freezer. I got out of bed, muttering curses about the 9 a.m. meeting I had at work, switched off the floor lamp, and went back to sleep. A 3 a.m. wake up with the lights on was repeated the next night. That weekend, I made plans for a fun Saturday in the cesspool they call Jersey City. I was planning to live across the river, mostly to save on those pesky New York City taxes and that steep New York City rent. This exercise involved my friend Soumitra taking me around the place because, as you would have figured out by now, I cannot be trusted to go to New Jersey without adult supervision. This meant that I had to wake up by 8 a.m. My room completely disagreed with this plan and decided to give me an early wake-up call at 3 a.m. instead, as per the unspoken agreement that it had drawn up without consulting me in the least. The floor lamp was on highest brightness, and the night lamp looked like it was about to burst. My door was shut, and I swear I could see my breath fog up. I was angry. No, not frightened. I was very angry. At my own forgetfulness. How could I have left the lights on again? I crawled out of bed and in my childish anger, yanked out the plug of the floor lamp, then yanked out the plug of the night light, got back under the warm covers and dozed off. I woke up with a start at 8:30 a.m. I was going to be late for my adult supervised tour of New Jersey with the most punctual human being that I know of in real life, and it's good that he's not here. I dived into the shared bathroom on the first floor as quickly as I could. I emerged, squeaky clean and all shiny, into my room. It was 9 a.m. New York City was bathed in broad daylight, outside my cramped and dark room, that is. But wait, this was no dark room. The room was in the same mess that I had left it in, but all the lights were on. The plugs had been put back in their sockets. The room was freezing again. Everything else was undisturbed. The door was exactly as I had left it. No one had been in here. And it was at that moment, recollecting fully well how I had angrily yanked out the plugs from their sockets at 3 a.m. the previous night, it finally hit me. There was something very strange going on in here, and it had been going on for some time now. Someone or something in that room loved sports. And Rihanna liked things very cold and insisted that I wake up at 3 a.m. every night. I grabbed my keys, my phone, my wallet, and an overcoat with the speed of a superhero and rushed out of the house. I couldn't tell anyone about this. I wouldn't tell anyone about this. Definitely not an audience of 100 strangers. They would think I was crazy. The next day, I spent a perfectly normal day with my friend, and then I spent a perfectly normal couple of nights at my cousin's. Denial, as we know, makes for an excellent temporary refuge. It took me till Tuesday to gather the courage to go back to that room and sleep there. I slept in that house for 5 more nights. I was very careful to not switch on the TV in my room. It seems like whenever the TV was involved, the lighting issues followed. If I did not mess with the remote, everyone was happy, calm, and even allowed me to get a full night's sleep. I moved out of the bed and breakfast the next Saturday to an airy, sunlight-filled room in Jersey City that overlooked the Hudson River and gave me a stunning view. I was fairly certain that no ghost could afford the rent in this place, and that any self-respecting spirit of New York would consider it an insult to move all the way across the river here with me. And let me address that thing I said about never telling anyone about this because they would think I was crazy. As I have grown older, I have come to realize in time that being crazy can be quite a good thing. It allows you the freedom to say what you want and do what you want without worrying about what others will think of you. Finally, as much as we'd like to think we have life all figured out, there are plenty of unsolved mysteries left. And there's something about that I kind of like. Thank you.